everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. In today's video, I thought it would be fun to sit down and share some of my most embarrassing falls that I've had. When you ride horses, you're bound to fall off at some point. It happens to all of us. You know, there's that saying that goes, you're not a real rider until you've fallen off a horse. And I do think that falling off makes you kind of almost appreciate the sport more. I know it sounds weird, but like that's just how I feel about it. Nobody likes falling off. It sucks. It's not fun. It hurts. I don't have that many. I've truly only fallen off a handful of times, and I mean, none of them are like crazy, shocking stories, but I do think that they are entertaining. Looking back, it's kind of funny that I just was so dramatic, but anyway, if you enjoyed this video, again, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also make sure that you are subscribed. And with that being said, let's just jump into the video. My first fall that I ever had off of a horse was during my last lesson at this barn that I had been riding at for a couple years, and it's where I started horseback riding. It was like the first barn I like started riding at, and I hadn't fallen off up until my very last lesson. I remember my trainer like giving me crap because I literally had my first fall ever on like my last day at this barn. Basically what happened is I was riding my lesson horse. I passed another horse in the arena, and that horse was kind of acting up that day and spooked my horse. And so the horse that I was on took off running, and I ended up falling. I don't remember exactly how I fell off, but I just remember landing on my butt. Like I legit like fell hard onto my butt, and it hurt. Like I just remember getting the wind knocked out of me, and I was sitting there on the ground. My horse stopped and like just stood there, and my mom came like running over because she was at my lesson, and my trainer kind of like stopped her and was like, don't go over to her, like just let her get up by herself, like she's okay. So my trainer walked over and was like, you know, asking me all the questions, like, can you move your arms? Can you move your legs? Like, are you okay? Like just trying to make sure that I wasn't like severely hurt. I was just more like shaken up than anything. And you know, getting the wind knocked out of you hurts. And so I just remember kind of like sitting there for a second, and then my trainer was like, okay, like time to get back on. And I just remember being like, what? Like, you're gonna make me get back on? I was so new to riding, and I didn't know that that's what you do. Like after you fall, you get back on and you end on a positive note, if you obviously are able to like get back on. Yeah, so I got back on, and I just remember like continuing my lesson like nothing had happened. I was more angry that I fell than I was like upset or like in pain. I remember being so mad at myself, not even mad at my horse, but just mad at myself for falling, which is so stupid, but you know, I was 12. I just remember being really disappointed that I made it basically my entire time at that barn without falling. And then on my last day, I was saying goodbye to that lesson horse, I fell. I actually had my second fall like a month later, which I will tell you guys about right now because this story makes me laugh as well. So after I had stopped riding at that barn, I started riding at a bigger barn, and I think I was in 7th grade at this point, or I was like just going into 7th grade. My mom and I had started talking about getting a horse. My mom grew up riding horses, and she really wanted to have a horse. I obviously wanted to have a horse, so we were basically going to share a horse. So we went to go try out a mare that was about an hour away from us, and I remember the first time we drove out there, we just went to look at her and we didn't ride her, and we both like fell in love with this horse. You know when you just have that connection with a horse like right off the bat? That's what it was like. And I just remember like my mom being in love with her, I was in love with her. She was like the sweetest mare. But she was an off-the-track thoroughbred. She was 12 years old, and she had no training. I don't know what they did with her exactly when she got off the track. Like, I'm pretty sure she just like sat for a while in a pasture. Like, they didn't really give her any training. She was 12 when we like went to go look at her. That's a pretty old age to start trying to like train a horse. Usually you start training them when they're way younger, and especially if they're off the track. Moral of the story, she was basically too far gone to train. Like, we ended up getting her, and like we tried putting her in training, and I think her training went on for like a year, and she wasn't getting anywhere. And so our trainer basically told us, like, I don't think she's gonna make any progress. You guys are probably better off selling her and getting a horse that you can actually ride, which was really hard to hear, but it was the truth. But anyway, that's a story for a different time. So we went out the first time just to look at her, fell in love with her. The second time we went out there, we were going to ride her, and I just remember being so nervous, and I don't remember why we like thought it was a good idea to like even try riding her, because she had no training. I'm pretty sure her owner was telling us like she had a little bit of training and like she knew the basics. So we ended up like trying her out, and I just remember it was super windy that day, which first of all is not good. You know, sometimes horses get a little funky when it's windy. My mom rode her first, and I just remember watching, and you could just tell this horse had like no training. She was very antsy. She just wanted to like take off, and my mom was holding her back. I was very nervous watching because I knew I was gonna have to get on next. We had driven all the way out to test ride her. I didn't want to chicken out and be like, oh, I'm not gonna ride her. So when my mom finished, I remember her like walking the horse over to me in the arena, and she was like, you don't have to get on. There's no pressure. If you don't feel comfortable, like, you don't have to ride her. I was so nervous, and I think obviously that didn't help, because I'm sure the horse could sense that I was nervous and that I just was like on edge. The second I like adjusted my reins, I didn't even like put my leg on her at all, and she just took off. She was very sensitive and like literally just took off, and I remember just being like, I'm gonna fall. Like, that was the first thought I had. I think because I was so nervous, I just like, I knew I was gonna fall. I was probably on her for like not even 10 seconds, like maybe like 5 seconds after she had taken off, and then I just like literally remember falling off. But the worst part is I fell towards the fence. She ended up like running to the other side of the arena, and when I fell to the left, and my head hit the fence. Like, I remember feeling my head just go boom, like right into the side of the fence. I was wearing a helmet, so I was fine. This is why you wear a helmet, ladies and gentlemen. Safety comes first. Yeah, so I hit my head, and then I remember like, again, getting the wind knocked out of me, and I was just like, you're kidding me. There's no way I just fell for the second time ever, like a couple weeks after falling off at my last lesson. I was more embarrassed than anything that I had fallen off in front of the owners of this horse. My mom again came running over. She's like, don't move, like, you're okay, trying to like help me catch my breath. And I just remember complaining that my back was really hurting. And at this time in my life, I was dealing with a lot of really bad lower back pain, and I was actually going to a chiropractor. They thought I had scoliosis at the time, which I don't, and I never had scoliosis. So when I fell, my mom was like super concerned that I had like hurt my back even more. So she literally drove me to my chiropractor after that happened. When we left and we drove back home, she drove me straight to the chiropractor. And I just remember getting inside the chiropractor's office, and he goes to like crack my neck, and he's like, so what happened? Because I was just like a mess. And my mom was like, oh, she fell off a horse. And he was like, ooh, like, that probably hurt, didn't it? I was like, yeah, it did. The last story that I'm going to share isn't that dramatic, and it really isn't even that crazy of a fall, but I just want to share it because it makes me laugh. This is when I had Kenny, and we were just like doing some flat work in the arena one day, and I think he bucked. I don't remember what he did. I don't know if he bucked or if he just like spooked at something. I remember I fell off, and I was sitting there on the ground again, wind knocked out of me, and my mom comes over to me. She's like, are you okay? And like Kenny had stopped and just like stood there in the arena. And so I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And I think I was like probably 16 at this time. You know, it's always embarrassing when like people at your barn walk over and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And you're just like, yeah, don't look at me, I'm fine. For me, when people ask if I'm okay, it makes me feel even worse. I just don't like it, you know? Even when my mom would ask like, oh my God, are you okay? I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, it's good, I'm fine, I promise. It wasn't that bad of a fall, I felt fine. So I got right back up, got on Kenny, and she was watching me ride, and I started like trotting him in a circle, and she's like, Sid, do you want a Band-Aid? And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean, do I need a Band-Aid? Like, I'm fine, I told you. And she was like, you're bleeding. And I was like, what? And she's like, look at your arm. All right here on my arm, there was just blood. And I was like, oh, I didn't even feel that. Like, I literally did not even feel any blood. I didn't feel anything on my arm until it started dripping. I was just so chill about it. I remember being like, no, like, I'm fine, I don't need a Band-Aid. And like, I just kept riding, and my mom was like, no, I'm gonna go get you a Band-Aid. I actually have a scar on my elbow from it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with my camera, but like, you can kind of see that little mark right there. It kind of looks like a birthmark. That is from that fall. It's my battle scar. I have a couple of them on this arm from falling, but that one was just so funny to me because I was like, I didn't even feel my arm like get hurt when I fell. It was probably just from like the sand in the arena, almost like road rash, like just kind of destroying that part of my arm. Anyway, that is the last story I'm going to share in this video. Obviously, horseback riding can be very dangerous if you're not careful, and even if you are careful and you're taking every precaution, like, accidents still happen, and I know that people, you know, have experienced much worse. I'm just grateful that I've never like broken a bone, or like I've never had anything crazy like that happen to me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.